First of all, congratulations on the fact that you're 38 weeks plus along and you're nearing the end, and that's so exciting. Now, you mentioned that you've had some contractions over the past weeks, but you went to your doctor's appointment and you're only a fingertip, and I'm guessing you were pretty disappointed by that. But this is really normal, and especially on your first baby. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. The first thing being that it takes really painful, regular contractions in most cases to change your cervix. And the definition of labor is not just contractions alone. A lot of people say, oh, I was in labor for 5 days, and they think that just because they were contracting, they were in labor, but that's not the case. Labor is actually cervical change. And this is also why a lot of first-time moms get sent home from the hospital at least once before they have their baby, because you don't quite know how labor is going to feel yet. You have probably the most intense pain you've had in your life, and you go into the hospital and you're sorely disappointed when the nurse checks you and tells you you're only 1 centimeter and perhaps you might get sent home. And this happens all the time. So there's a couple of key things to remember. First of all, intensity and frequency is key. So it's best to wait until your contractions are about 2 to 4 minutes apart, and they've been doing that for at least 2 hours and they're intense before you go to the hospital. This will increase the chances of your cervix changing from those contractions. However, keep in mind that if at any time you're not feeling your baby move during these contractions or are moving less than usual, if you have bleeding, if you feel like your water broke, those are all reasons to go in sooner, even if you're not having regular contractions. But if all else is well, your baby's moving, you don't feel like your water's broken, and you're not bleeding, then you can stay at home and wait until your contractions are 2 to 4 minutes apart and they've been regular and intense for at least 2 hours before going in. And again, like I said, this will increase the chances of your cervix actually changing from them. When you go into the hospital, the nurse will check your cervix, shut the door, cross her fingers, tell you to work hard, come back an hour later, and if your cervix has changed, that means you're in labor and you get to stay. So that's kind of how it goes. We need to see proof that your body's ready to do this thing before we admit you to the hospital. And until then, your body might do some regular contracting, which is probably what you've been experiencing. And this is still good because your cervix has to be primed a little bit. Your body releases prostaglandins. Those are hormones that act on the cervix and get it to soften, move forward in your pelvis, and thin out a little bit. So the dilation part kind of comes once you start to have the intense, frequent contractions, but that priming work has to be done first. So those regular contractions you've been having are probably still doing some good as well. Good luck with everything. I hope this information is helpful. And if you have any other questions for me, feel free to ask them on our Facebook page and recommend us to your friends and family too. Congratulations ahead of time.